Now for our topic today, how to support a safe and secure workforce. My name is Morgan Stellick. I'm an inside sales engineer here at Jamf, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. During our talk today, we're going to be discussing best practices to uphold collaboration and engagement, tips to improve your device management infrastructure, and how to ensure remote devices are protected. Let's get started. But first, a Jamf overview. Since our founding in 2002, Jamf has been laser focused on helping organizations succeed with Apple. From product design to customer support, helping you succeed remains at the core of what we do. Today, Jamf is the world's leading platform for managing Apple in the enterprise. With our entire focus remaining on Apple, Jamf is the natural choice for helping you and your team succeed with Apple in your organization. Jamf offers a portfolio of enterprise-grade solutions ready to help you tackle authentication and identity management, device management, and endpoint protection challenges in the Apple ecosystem. Underpinning it all is Jamf Nation, the world's largest community of Apple administrators with more than 100,000 of your fellow admins on the site who are ready to connect and learn together. For more information about any of these solutions, check out jamf.com. Jamf's Apple Enterprise Management Solutions are here to help organizations connect, manage, and protect Apple devices. In today's webinar, we'll be diving into many of the challenges the enterprise faces when it comes to securely connecting users to resources, efficiently managing devices and apps, and protecting data, devices, and privacy. Today, Jamf helps more than 60,000 organizations manage over 26 million Apple devices and counting. When the enterprise needs the world leader in Apple management, they turn to Jamf. The world's largest banks, tech companies, most valuable brands, and largest companies choose Jamf for Apple management. This is why Jamf is the standard for Apple in the enterprise. One other major benefit of choosing Jamf is for our exclusive focus on Apple and our history and commitment to something we call same-day support. Same-day support means less work for you, faster access to new Apple features for your end users, and better corporate control for your admins. For 10 years running, Jamf has delivered support for new Apple operating systems, be it iPadOS, iOS, and tvOS, the day they're released. And we have once again delivered for macOS, supporting Monterey when Apple made it available. If your end users are craving that hot new feature from Apple, it's easy to kick off a mass operating system upgrade across your entire Apple fleet. On the flip side, if you want to pause the availability of a new operating system, you can delay operating system upgrades for up to 90 days so your team can take time to test and validate before making it available to everyone. The days of a 9-to-5 workday, exclusively from the office, are coming to an end or changing as work is no longer confined by time and place. What's making this possible is the evolving role of digital technology to improve business processes and enhance employee experiences. But what makes the move to hybrid workforce successful is actually the evolving responsibility of IT. In today's climate, organizations are examining their remote employee and work from home policies, be it for health, employee retention, or employee productivity reasons. In fact, in a 2019 study published by Talent LMS, 66% of organizations allowed employees to work remotely, and 16% of all employees worked remote full-time. In today's world, in the face of the pandemic and the after effects, these numbers actually grew. So now, 88% of survey respondents have recently transitioned to remote work as a result of the pandemic. Traditionally, our mindset is centered around working in the office. There, a worker could find a variety of resources. The office was the central location for the resources like our telephones, fax machines, equipment such as our desks and computers, conference rooms, files and data, including servers, our coworkers and other departments, and even our homes revolved around the office. With this new model, tools revolve around us instead of us revolving around the office. And that means they are now the links that connect us with our coworkers. It's not just the phone, but email, chat, cloud-based files, video conferencing. Several solution providers make at least one of these tools, and many make multiple tools, often blurring the lines between them and always making their own tools work better together rather than mixing and matching with other solutions. And with that, let's explore collaboration and engagement. To implement remote support for your end users requires we provide them with the right tools, access, and trust. We have to equip them with devices that serve multiple purposes. So a laptop and a smartphone are a good start, and then we need to provide them with the right software and settings. We need to give them access to data and services to do their jobs. That could mean opening your network to allow them to connect from home, or it could mean securely storing your data with a service on the internet. And we have to ensure the right people and the right machines can access the right resources. This doesn't mean that we have to lower our security standards, but rather it may mean we have to rethink our security standards and meet them in a new way. By now, your organization has probably deployed a few tools to your workforce. For this webinar, I'll focus on 3 popular collaboration tools. The 3 major players, Apple, Google, and Microsoft, have developed suites of products and created ecosystems where their own tools work great together. For example, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, and Word have autosave and document collaboration features, but they only work if you store your files on Microsoft OneDrive. Or take Apple's feature for making custom animated emojis. They're super cute, they're fun, but they only work effectively if the people you're chatting with also have iPhones or iPads. And while it's fair to say that these 3 companies have targeted the 3 major markets of business, consumer, and education, each has a dominance in one over the others. Apple has decided to focus heavily on consumers and offers little in terms of cross-platform support. Google has focused heavily on education and works across platforms and devices. And Microsoft has heavily focused on business with emphasis on Microsoft and Apple platforms and devices. Looking at each of these product lines, you'll see there's no discernible differences in the types of services they offer. It's their client applications where they differ most. Apple has chosen to develop separate clients for chat, email, and group video, whereas Microsoft combines its chat, audio, and conferencing into their One Teams app. Google has invested its work into mostly online-only services where you need to use a browser on your Mac. Because of this, it can't take advantage of features like Spotlight, which is a native tool on Mac that helps to search within the Mac OS. It's crucial to recognize if your organization doesn't have a deep need for 1 or 2 of these specific services. Then, one of the 3 ecosystems will probably just suit you fine. However, if you find an ecosystem isn't satisfying some of your service needs, then you'll want to look at supplementing it with another service that's focused in that area. Those are the high points for facilitating collaboration between your end users. I'm sure they'll have opinions about what they want to use, and you should listen to them. It's not our place to choose the tools for them to do their jobs, but we should help offer guidance on what makes the most sense. And then we can help manage those tools using Jamf Pro. Let's review some basics about how your devices communicate with Jamf Pro. Here are some examples of a Jamf Pro environment. There's a bunch of options where it comes to on-premise solutions. The first is a single server that might be behind a firewall. You could also have multiple servers in a cluster using a DMZ, or a split environment where the Jamf Pro management server is on-premise with a cloud-hosted distribution point. Also, there's the option of having an internal-only server that's only accessible with VPN. And with that being said, the most common Jamf Pro environment that you're going to see is a cloud environment or a SaaS model where everything is hosted outside the company network. Here's the first scenario. Now, what if you host your own Jamf Pro server on premise? Usually, there's a firewall protecting your internal network from internet intruders. You're going to have to poke a hole in your firewall to allow your devices to reach your Jamf Pro server. Your devices initiate the connection to your Jamf Pro server, and it'll respond over the same port. But what about installer packages for your Macs or eBooks those don't come from your Jamf Pro server. Instead, they come from a file shared distribution point. That means there's another hole you need to poke in your firewall, and because you're sharing this to the internet, you should probably enable web services on this server and share packages over port 80 or 443. Again, it'll respond over the same port. Now, network security teams may not approve of you simply wanting to poke holes in their firewall, though. In fact, what they should do is install a second firewall and something called a DMZ. This is a neutral zone between your internal network and the internet. DMZs allow you to expose specific servers to internet traffic instead of your entire internal network. Your two DMZ servers will communicate with servers on your internal network over ports only open on your internal firewall. Here, the internal distribution point in the upper right replicates its packages and ebooks to the distribution point in the DMZ. The Jamf Pro server in the DMZ communicates to the Jamf Pro server on your internal network that hosts your MySQL database. Devices at home communicate only with your DMZ servers. By the way, caveat here, many of these ports I'm using are simply the defaults. You can change them depending on your security requirements. Here's an alternative setup. What if we replace the DMZ distribution point with a cloud distribution point like Amazon Web Services? Jamf Pro also supports Rackspace Cloud Files and Akamai. Now, why would we want to do this? Two reasons. The first is to reduce internet traffic back to your company network. Remember, packages can be very large, and pushing large packages to all your Macs may overwhelm your distribution point or your internet bandwidth. And two, cloud services can distribute your files across their network, allowing devices to receive packages and ebooks from a server that's closest to them. So what does this look like? First, your internal distribution point replicates your packages to your cloud service. Your devices will still check in with your DMZ Jamf Pro server, but then they'll install their packages and ebooks from your cloud distribution point. If you don't use cloud services and you can't put a Jamf Pro server and distribution point in your DMZ, you can still allow internet traffic using VPN. VPN requires a server or appliance that's available to the internet and VPN software on your devices that point to your VPN server. The client connects to the VPN server and creates an encrypted tunnel into your network, and that tunnel stays open as long as the VPN software is turned on. From there, all of your Jamf Pro traffic travels through the tunnel to directly access your internal servers. VPN might sound like an ideal solution compared to putting servers in your DMZ or using the Jamf Cloud service, but keep in mind, the end user does have control over when VPN is turned on or off. If they turn off VPN, then your management of their devices is also turned off. VPN is really the least desirable solution, but if you need immediate connectivity to manage your devices and you have no externally facing Jamf Pro servers, it may be the quickest and easiest solution to implement. Last, but certainly not least, we have the cloud or SaaS model. Compared to the setups I just showed you, this is a lot easier. Rather than hosting and maintaining your own infrastructure, Jamf can do that for you. Servers and distributions are maintained by Jamf Cloud, and you have access to management and resources from anywhere. On the left is an end user's home, and with that end user are an iPhone and a MacBook Pro. On the right side is Jamf Cloud, our hosted Jamf Pro service. If you're already using Jamf Cloud, there's nothing more to do. Your devices can reach your Jamf Pro management server, and you have the ability to deploy packages, settings, and ebooks from anywhere in the world. The same applies to the customers who've chosen to install their own instance of Jamf Pro in a cloud service like Amazon or Rackspace. Now let's compare what we just discussed. All of these infrastructure solutions are secure or can be made secure. Traffic between your devices and your management server is encrypted using TLS 1.2 encryption. For distribution points that you maintain, you'll need to provide an SSL certificate to encrypt traffic. Jamf does support every one of these infrastructure solutions. However, Jamf can't support your third-party cloud services, server hardware, server operating systems, firewalls, and VPN solutions. You'll still be responsible for supporting the non-Jamf pieces. Most of these solutions support high availability. Jamf Cloud's infrastructure is designed to be 99.9% available, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And if you're looking for quick implementation to support at-home workers in the near term, Jamf Cloud or a single on-premise Jamf Pro server behind a firewall or VPN will get you started managing devices in less than a day. Anything more than that depends on your infrastructure and security needs. With any infrastructure solution, Jamf can have you up and going in just a day or two once you've designed your infrastructure topology. Keep in mind that it can take decision makers, architects, server administrators, and network administrators who understand your environment a considerable amount of time just to do that. I've put Jamf Cloud as the easiest to maintain because it does include 30 days of secure backups and automatic updates when they're released. On top of that, there is no infrastructure for customers to maintain. It includes high availability servers and a dedicated team to manage them, secure SSL certificates, and a cloud distribution point for installer packages. And for those reasons, I've also put Jamf Cloud as the most cost-effective infrastructure solution. Why? Maybe other than my own bias, we charge the same subscription price for Jamf Cloud hosting services as on-premise. The only thing Jamf Cloud doesn't offer is a direct access to your database. If your security requires complete and end-to-end control over your data, then one of the self-hosted infrastructure solutions will meet your needs. At the end of the day, any of these solutions are valid and they can meet your needs in a secure way. Where Jamf Cloud, in my opinion, really shines is that it's quick to get your environment stood up, it's cost-effective, and it's super easy to maintain. Now, the key to supporting a safe and secure environment starts with trust. As more employees leverage Mac to do their jobs, the need for purpose-built Mac security amplifies. With employees using their computers at home, there's a whole new risk of attacks against company assets. Employees may become more comfortable visiting websites they may not normally do on a company network. Their personal email could be on their devices, or they could be trusting their kiddos to play a game on a website. And when that inevitable piece of malware finds its way onto a device, security teams in IT face the additional challenge to remediate that attack remotely. Once our management infrastructure is ready, we have to consider making our devices secure when they're not on our network, protected by our firewalls, proxies, and other security tools. First, we need to ensure that the right people are using the devices. We'll look at some options for authentication. We also need to protect the data on the devices from accidental or intentional exposure or loss. Basic protections are already built into the Mac operating system itself, but unless we keep it up to date and our applications up to date, we're losing out on a lot of those security benefits. We also need to plan for what happens if a device gets lost or stolen. How do you plan to help your end users who are probably pretty reluctant to report this to you? There's a lot that we can do here to help. An Apple Business Manager or Apple School Manager account is about maintaining something called chain of custody. This is a term describing the documented transfer of responsibility of something from one party to another. Only Apple makes Apple devices, and every one of these devices has a unique serial number. When Apple transfers new devices to a reseller for distribution, it keeps record of the serial numbers sold to that reseller. In turn, when the reseller sells you the device, it too keeps a record of the serial number sold to you and adds them to your Apple Business Manager or Apple School Manager account. Then, Apple allows you to associate an MDM server like Jamf Pro to it. Once your Jamf Pro server is associated to the account, Apple will recognize your server as legally authoritative for those devices. From here, you control the chain of custody with automated device enrollment. With your devices associated with Jamf Pro, Apple will let you control the setup assistant experience for your end users. But what if the person holding the device isn't one of your employees or students? One step you can take is to require authentication from your end user to authorize the setup of the device. Without this authorization, the device is effectively useless. Once the user has been authenticated, the device is now authorized to begin configuration. At this point, Jamf Pro will install software, configure email accounts, or anything else you've instructed for when the enrollment is complete. And now it's ready for use. Now let's spend some time discussing how to protect devices after they're configured. By default, macOS disallows not creating a password out of the box, but anyone with admin privileges can change that. So you need to ensure passwords be used and enforce password requirements. There's a couple of ways of doing this. If you use Active Directory or single sign-on, we'll mirror that. That source of truth will tell us the complexity required. If you don't have that, Jamf Pro gives you the ability to enforce password complexity. Ultimately, we recommend you rely on your identity provider, but if you don't have that, Jamf Pro can help. If you have Intel Macs in your environment, you can also enable a firmware password automatically and silently on your Macs. Enabling a firmware password doesn't interfere with startup, and your end users will see nothing different. However, if someone attempts to boot to the macOS recovery partition to reset your administrator password, they'll see this screen and must provide the firmware password to continue. If you need better security, then we suggest using a script that randomly generates a firmware password and places it in Jamf Pro as an extension attribute. Again, this workflow is specific to non-M1 Macs. An even better way to protect your admin account from someone booting to macOS recovery is to simply enable File Vault, an additional layer of security that's already built into the Mac. When File Vault is enabled, whoever is attempting to reset your password must either provide the admin password or provide the recovery key. Without either of those, your admin account is safe from being reset. Not only does File Vault protect your admin account, it protects all the data on the Mac as well. If your remote workers deal with sensitive information like company secrets, customer data like credit cards, hospital patient record information, or student information, then you need to encrypt that data if it ever comes to rest on their computers. Something I like to point out in regards to File Vault is that Jamf Pro can escrow your File Vault recovery key by storing it in our database. You can further prevent end users from ever seeing that key to ensure security. To further differentiate and customize the device deployment process and ongoing lifecycle management for remote and on-site staff, organizations are turning to modern authentication and security measures. Through an authentication and identity management solution such as Jamf Connect, organizations can implement a never trust, always verify strategy. This is crucial for remote staff who are potentially accessing secure information and resources over unsecure networks. Jamf Connect and cloud identity providers such as Okta or Microsoft Azure Active Directory offer organizations a high level of user and device trust while also ensuring a seamless and uninterrupted experience for employees. This is accomplished through 3 areas. The first is account provisioning, the second is identity management, and the third is user identity and device credential synchronization. Let's start with account provisioning and authentication. IT administrators can provision a Mac with all of the business-critical applications needed to be productive based solely on an employee's cloud identity credentials. This takes zero-touch deployment one step further, as the user can log in with a single set of credentials, complete with multi-factor authentication, so the organization knows the right person is accessing the right machine and the right resources. Next, let's touch on identity management. Because Jamf Connect requires a cloud identity username and password, IT administrators are able to monitor which devices are being accessed, from where, and by whom. This is a powerful security measure to keep remote employees protected, as they may be logging into devices from an unsecure network. Lastly, let's talk about user identity and device credential synchronization. Jamf Connect empowers employees to keep their corporate identity, or their cloud-based identity, in sync with their local Mac account password at all times. This means employees can access everything they need without having to input a password multiple times. In fact, Gartner reports that 40% of all help desk calls are for password resets. Jamf Connect eliminates these requests, saving IT a substantial amount of time and ensuring employees are not unproductive while the issue gets resolved. Finally, as Apple continues to grow in the enterprise, it's become even more mission critical that we take security seriously. Here at Jamf, we've answered that call by creating Jamf Protect, a purpose-built endpoint solution that works with the native tools built into the Mac. By leveraging these native security tools, like Apple's endpoint security framework and on-device analysis of macOS system events, Jamf Protect creates customized telemetry and detections that give enterprise security teams unprecedented visibility into their macOS fleet, no matter where the devices are. Further, by partnering Jamf Protect and Jamf Pro, you have some of the best tools available to identify and remediate incidents on macOS, without the devices ever touching the corporate network. A few highlights are: receive real-time alerts of malicious activity, investigate activity on devices, set up proactive blocks for known bad applications, isolate a device from sensitive resources, eradicate malicious files on the device, and redeploy macOS and installed applications. As we come to the end of our session today, I'd like to recap once again by saying this hybrid work model will only continue. Jamf can help to empower a modern mobile workforce and deliver the best and most secure employee experience. Jamf also offers more to help you be successful. Our professional services offer on-location or remote services to customize Jamf for your environment. We also offer certification courses led by our training team to help you become an expert in Jamf and widen your skill sets. Finally, we also have world-class support from Apple experts across the globe. We even have 24/7 support via our premium support packages. As we talked about today, we integrate with Apple's programs such as Apple Push Notification Services, or APNS, Apple School Manager, Apple Business Manager, automated MDM enrollment, and automated purchasing of apps and books. Further, we integrate with third-party tools such as Active Directory, Single Sign-On, SCCM, Cisco, ServiceNow, and we have our own API. The Jamf Marketplace offers tools and resources to help make the Jamf platform even more useful to our customers. And there's also the developer portal, which enables the community to build tools and resources to help others. And of course, we are nothing without our customers, and that is proven with the Jamf Nation community. This online forum is home to over 100,000 Apple IT-focused individuals that learn from each other, discuss best practices, and have access to a wealth of resources and third-party tools. I invite you to create a free account today and come join in on the discussion. Thank you again so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time to come hang out with us today.